Hi, I'll be reading chapter five of in the Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Chapter five, the Order of the Phoenix. You, my dear old mom. Yes, said Sirius. We have been trying. We we have been trying to get her down for a month, but we think she put a permanent sticking charm on the back of the canvas. Let's get downstairs quick before they all wake up again. Wake up again. But what's a portrait of your mother doing here, Harry? Harry asked, bewildered as they went through the door from the hall and led the way down a flight of narrow stone steps. The others just behind them. Hasn't anyone told you? This was my parents' house, said Sirius. But I am the the last black left, so it's mine now. Mine now. I offered it to Dumbledore for headquarters about the about the only useful thing I have been able to do. Harry, who had expected a better welcome, noted how hard and bitter Sirius' voice sounded. He followed his grandfather to the bottom of the stairs and through a door leading into the basement kitchen. It was scarcely less gloomy than the hall above, a canvas room with rough stone walls. Most of the light was coming from a large fire at the far end of the room. A haze, a haze, a pipe, a pipe smoke hung in the air like battle fumes, through which loomed the mentioned shapes of heavy iron pots and pans hanging from the dark ceiling. Many chairs had been crammed into the room for the meeting, and a long wooden table stood in the middle of the room, littered with rolls of parchment, goblets, empty wine bottles, and a heap of what appeared to be rags. Mr. Weasley and his eldest son Bill were talking quietly with their heads together at the end of the table. At the end of the table, Miss Weasley cleared her throat. Her husband, a thin, balding, red-haired man who wore horn-rimmed glasses, looked around and jumped to his feet. Harry, Mr. Weasley said, hurrying forward to greet him and shaking his hand vigorously. Good to see you. Over his shoulder, Harry saw Bill, who still wore his long hair in a ponytail, hastily rolling up the lengths of parchment left on the table. Johnny, Johnny, all right, Harry, Bill called, trying, trying to gather up 12 scrolls at once. Mad Eye didn't make you come via Greenland then. He tried, said Tonks, striding, he tried, said Tonks, striding over to help Bill, and immediately sending a candle toppling onto the last peach upon a parchment. Oh no, sorry. Here it is, said Miss Weasley, sounding exasperated, and she repaired the parchment with a wave of her wand, and the flash of light caused by Miss Weasley's charm. Harry caught a glimpse of what looked like the plan of a building. Miss Weasley had seen him looking. She snatched the plane off the table and stuffed it into Bill's heavily laden arms. This sort of thing ought to be cleared away promptly at the end of meetings, she snapped. Before sweeping off toward an ancient dresser for which she started unloading dinner plates. Bill took out his wand, muttered EVANESCO, and the scrolls vanished. Sit down, Harry, said Sirius. You have met MUNDUNGUS, haven't you? The thing Harry had taken to be a pile of rags gave a prolonged grunting snore and then jerked awake. Some, some, Summons say, my name, MUNDUNGS, mumbled sleepily. I agree with Sirius. He raised a very grubby hand in the air, as though voting, his droopy, bloodshot eyes unfocusing. Gingy giggled. The meeting's over, DUNG, said Sirius, as they all sat down around him at the table. Harry's arrived. ER, said MUNDUNGUS, peering balefully at Harry through his matted ginger hair. Blimey so. EAS, yeah. You, all right, Harry? Yes, said Harry. MUNDUNGUS fumbled nervously in his pockets, still staring at Harry, and pulled out a grimy black pipe. He stuck it in his mouth, ignited the end of it with his wand, and took a deep pull on it. Great billowing clouds of greenish smoke obscured him in seconds. A apology, grunted a voice from the middle of the smelly cloud. For the last time. MUNDUNGUS, called Miss Weasley. Will you please not smoke that thing in the kitchen? Not when we are about to eat. Ha, said MUNDUNGUS. Right. Sorry, Molly. The cloud of smoke vanished as MUNDUNGUS stowed his pipe back in his pocket, but an arid smell of burning socks lingered. And if you want dinner before midnight, I will need a hand, Miss Weasley said to the room at large. No, you can. You can stay where you are, Harry dear. You have had a long journey. What can I do, Molly? said Tonks, enthusiastically bounding forward. Miss Weasley hesitated, looking apprehensively. Eon, no, it's all right, Tonks. You have a rest too. You have done enough today. No, I want to help, said Tonks brightly, knocking over a chair as she hurried toward the dresser from which Gingy was collecting cutlery. Soon a series of heavy knives were chopping meat and vegetables at their own accord, supervised by Mr. Weasley, while Miss Weasley stood a cauldron dangling over the fire, and the others took out plates, more goblets, and food from the pantry. Harry was left at the table with Sirius and MUNDUNGUS, who was still blinking mournfully at him. Adam, seen old Fidgy since? He asked. No, said Harry. No, said Harry. I haven't seen anyone. See, I wouldn't have left, said Mundungus, leaning forward, a pleading note in his voice. But I had a business opportunity. Harry felt something brush against his knee and started, but it was only Crookshanks, Hermione's benny-legged ginger cat, who wound himself once around Harry's legs, purring, then jumped onto Sirius' lap and curled up. Sirius scratched him absentmindedly behind the ears as he turned, still grim-faced to Harry. Had a good summer so far? No, it's been lousy, said Harry. For the first time, something like a grin flitted across Sirius' face. Don't know what you are complaining about myself. What? Said Harry incredibly. Personally, I'd have, I'd have welcomed a Dementor attack, a deadly struggle for my soul would have broken the MONOTONY nicely. You think you have had it bad? At least you have been able to get out and about, stretch your legs, get into a few fights. I have been stuck inside for a month. For a month. How come? Said Harry, frowning. Because the Ministry of Magic's still after me. And Voldemort will know all about me being an AMIMAGUS by now. Wormtail would have told him. So my big disguise is useless. There's not much I can do for the Order of the Phoenix. Also, Dumbledore feels. There was something about the slightly flattened tone of voice in which Sirius uttered Dumbledore's name that told Harry that Sirius was not very happy with the headmaster either. Harry felt a sudden upsurge of affection for his godfather. At least you have known what's been going on, he said recently. Oh yeah, said Sirius sarcastically, listening to Snape's reports, having to take all his snide hints that he's out there risking his life while I am sat on my backside here having a nice comfortable time, asking me how the cleaning's going. What cleaning? Asked Harry, trying to make this place fit for human habitation, said Sirius, waving a hand around the dismayed kitchen. No one's lived here for 10 years, not since my dear mother died, unless you count her old house elf, and he's gone round the trails. Hasn't cleaned anything in ages. Sirius, said Mundungus, who did not appear to have paid any attention to this conversation, but had been closely examining an empty goblet. This all itself for me? Yes, Cecilia, surveying it with distaste. Finest. 15th century Goblin Wart silver embossed with the Black family crest. That that come off though, muttered. Mungungus, polishing it with his cup. Fred, George, no just carry them. Miss Weasley shrieked. Harry, Sirius, and Gus looked around, and a split second later dived away from the table. Fred and George had bewitched a large cauldron of stew, an iron flagon of butter beet, and a heavy wooden breadboard, complete with knife, to hold her through the air toward them. Just so you know, I'm recording. If you don't want to be in it.
Oh, I walked in. I'm sorry about that.
Toward them. The stew skidded the length of the table and came to a halt just before the end, leaving a long black bone on the wooden surface. The flagon of butter, a butterbill fell with the glass spilling its contents everywhere, and the bread knife slipped off the board and landed point down and quivering ominously exactly where Sirius' right hand had been seconds before. For heaven's sake, screamed Miss Weasley. There was no need. I have had enough of this. Just because you are allowed to use magic, now you don't have to whip your wands out for every teeny little thing. We were just trying to save a bit of time, said Fred, hurrying forward and wedging the bread knife out of the table. Sorry, Sirius. Mate, didn't mean to. Harry and Sirius were both laughing. Mungungus, who had toppled backward off his chair, was swearing as he got to his feet. Crookshanks had given an angry hiss and shot off under the dresser, from whence his large yellow eyes glowed in the darkness. Boys, Mr. Weasley said, lifting the stew bag into the middle of the table. Your mother's right. You are supposed to show a sense of responsibility now. Now you have come of age. None of your brothers caused this sort of trouble. Miss Weasley raged at the twins, slamming a fresh flagon of butterbeer onto the table and spilling almost as much again. Bill didn't feel the need to apparate every few feet. Charlie didn't charm everything he met. Percy. She stopped dead, catching her breath with a frightened look at her husband, whose expression was subtle and wooden. Let's eat, said Bill quickly. It looks wonderful, Molly, said Lupin, ladling stew onto a plate for her and handing it across the table. For a few minutes there was silence, but but for the chink of plates and cutlery and the scraping of chairs, as everyone settled down to their food. Then Miss Weasley turned to Sirius and said, I have been meaning to tell you there's something trapped in that writing desk in the drawing room. It keeps rattling and shaking. Of course, it could just be a BOGGART, but I thought we ought to ask ALASTOR to have a look at it before we let it out. Let it out. Whatever you like, said Sirius indifferently. The curtains in there are full of DOXIES too. Miss Weasley went on. I thought we might try and tackle them tomorrow. I look forward to it, said Sirius. Harry heard the sarcasm in his voice, but he was not sure that anyone else did. Opposite Harry, Tonks was entertaining Hermione and Gingy by transforming her nose between mouthfuls, screwing up her eyes each time with the same pained expressions she had worn back in Harry's bedroom. Her nose swelled to a beak like PROTUBERANCE, like Snape's, shrank to something resembling a button mushroom, and then sprouted a great deal of hair from each nostril. Apparently, this was a regular mealtime entertainment, because after a while Hermione and Gingy started requesting their favorite noses. Do that one like a pig snout, Tonks. Tonks obliged, and Harry, looking up, had the fleeting expression that a female Julie was grinning at him from across the table. Mr. Weasley, Bill, and Lupin were having an intense discussion about goblins. They are not giving anything away yet, said Bill. I still can't work out whether they believe he's back or not. They might prefer not to take sides at all. Keep out of it. I'm sure they'd never go over to you know who, and you know who, said Mr. Weasley, shaking his head. They have suffered losses too. Remember that Goblin family he murdered last time somewhere near Nottingham. I think it depends. It depends what they offer to Lupin, and I am not talking about gold. If they are offered freedoms, we have been denying them for centuries. They are going to be tempted. Have you still not had any luck with RAGNOK, Bill? He's feeling pretty anti-wizard at the moment, said Bill. He hasn't stopped raging about the Bagman business. He reckons the ministry did a cover-up. Those goblins never got their gold from him. You know. A gale of laughter from the middle of the table drowned the rest of Bill's words. Fred, George, Ron, and Mundungus were rolling around in their seats and then choked. Mundungus tears running down his face, and then, if you will believe it, he says to me, he says, Eredung, Will, did you get all those toads from? Cause some son of a burglar's gone and nicked all mine, and I says nicked all your toads. Well, what next? So you will be wanting some more then, and if you will, believe me, lads, the GORMLESS gargoyle buys all his own toes back off me for twice what he paid in the first place. I don't think we need to hear any more of your business dealings. Thank you very much, Mundungus, said Miss Weasley softly, as Ron slumped forward onto the table, howling with laughter. Beg pardon, Molly, said Mundungus at once, wiping his eyes and winking at Harry. But you know, Will. Nick them. Off. Warty Harris in the first place. So I wasn't really doing nothing wrong. I don't know where you learned about right and wrong, Mundungus, but you seem to have missed a few critical lessons, said Miss Weasley coldly. Fred and George buried their faces in their goblets of butterbeer. George was hiccuping. For some reason, Miss Weasley threw a very nasty look at Sirius before getting to her feet and going to fetch a large RHUBARB crumble for pudding. Harry looked round at his godfather. Molly doesn't approve of Mundungus, Sirius, in an undertone. How come he's in the order? Harry said very quietly. He's useful, Sirius muttered. Knows all the quirks. He would seem as he's one himself, but he's also very loyal to Dumbledore, who helped him out of a tight spot once. It pays to have someone like DUNG around. He hears things we don't, but Molly thinks inviting him to stay for dinner is going too far. She hasn't forgiven him for slipping off duty when he was supposed to be tailing you. 3 helpings of RHU, BARB, crumble, and custard later, and the wristband on Harry's jeans was feeling uncomfortably tight, which was saying something, as the jeans had once been Dudley's. He laid down his spoon in a lull in the general conversation. Mr. Weasley was leaning back in his chair looking with fleet and relaxed tongues, was yawning widely. Oh, now, who knows? Now, who knows? Now back to Norma and Gingy, who had Lord Crookshanks out from under the dresser, was sitting cross-legged on the floor, rolling Butterbeer corks for him to chase. Nearly time for bed, I think, said Miss Weasley on a yawn. Not just yet, Molly, said Sirius, pushing away his empty plate and turning to look at Harry. You know, I am surprised at you. I thought the first thing you do when you got here would be to start asking questions about Baltimore. The atmosphere in the room changed with the rapidity Harry associated with the arrival of the mentor. Where seconds before it had been simply relaxed. It was now alert, even tense. A vision had gone around the table at the mention of Baltimore's name. Lupin, who had been about to take a sip of wine, lowered his goblet slowly, looking weary. I did, said Harry indignantly. I just won, and Hermione. But they say we're not allowed in the orders, so. And they are quite right, said Miss Weasley. You are too young. She was sitting bolt upright in her chair, her fist clenched upon its arms. Every trace of drowsiness gone. Since when did someone have to be in the order of the Phoenix to ask questions as serious? Harry's been trapped in the Muggle house for a month. He's got the right to know what's been happening. Hang on, interrupted George loudly. How come Harry gets his answered questions, said Fred angrily. We have been trying to get stuff out of you for a month, and you haven't told us a single sticking thing, said George. You are too young. You are not in the order, said Fred, in a high-pitched voice that sounded uncannily like his mother's. Harry's not even of age. It's not my fault. You haven't been told what the order's doing, said Sirius calmly. That's your parents' decision, Harry. On the other hand, it's not down to you to decide what's good for Harry, said Miss Weasley softly. Her normally kindly face looked dangerous. You haven't forgotten what Dumbledore said, I suppose. Which bit? Sirius asked politely, but with an air as though readying himself for a fight. The bit about not telling Harry more than he needs to know, said Miss Weasley, placing a heavy emphasis on the last three words. Ron, Hermione, Fred, and George's heads turned from Sirius to Miss Weasley as though following a tennis rally. Gingy was kneeling amid a pile of abandoned Butterbeer corks, watching the conversation with her mouth slightly open. Lupin's eyes were fixed on Sirius. I don't intend to tell him more than he needs to know, Molly, said Sirius. But as he was the one who saw Baltimore come back again, there was a collective shudder around the table at the name. He has more right than most too. He's not a member of the Order of the Phoenix, said Miss Weasley. He's only 15 and he's still with as much as most in the Order, said Sirius, and more than some. No one's denying what he's done, said Miss Weasley, her voice rising, her fist trembling on the arms of a chair. But he's not a child, said Sirius impatiently. Said Sirius impatiently. He's not an adult either, said Miss Weasley, the color rising in her cheeks. He's not James Sirius. I'm perfectly clear who he is, thanks, Molly, said Sirius coldly. I am not sure you are, said Miss Weasley. Sometimes the way you talk about him, it's as though you think you've got your best friend back. What's wrong with that? Said Harry. What's wrong, Harry? Is that you are not your father, however much you might look like him, said Miss Weasley, her eyes still boring into Sirius. You are still at school, and an adult responsible for you should not forget it. Forget it. Meaning I'm an irresponsible godfather, demanded Sirius, his voice rising. Meaning you have been known to act rashly, Sirius, which is why Dumbledore keeps reminding you to stay at home, and we will leave my instructions from Dumbledore out of this, if you please, said Sirius loudly. Arthur, said Miss Weasley. Arthur, said Miss Weasley, rounding on her husband. Arthur, back me up. Mr. Weasley did not speak at once. He took off his glasses and cleaned them slowly on his robes, not looking at his wife. Only when he had placed them carefully on his nose did he say Dumbledore knows the nose. The position has changed, Molly. He accepts that Harry will have to be filled in to a certain extent now that he is staying at headquarters. Yes, but there's a difference between that and inviting him to ask whatever he likes. Fortunately, said Lupin quietly, looking away from Sirius at last, as Miss Weasley turned quickly to him, hopeful that finally she was about to get an ally. I think it better that Harry gets the facts, not all the facts, Molly, but the general picture from us, rather than a garbled version from others. His expression was mild, but Harry felt sure that Lupin at least knew that some excitable ears had survived Miss Weasley's porch. Well, said Miss Weasley, breathing deeply and looking around the table for support that did not come. Well, I can see I am I am going to be overruled. I would just say this Dumbledore must have had his reason for not for not for not for not for not wanting Harry to know too much. And speaking as someone who was got Harry's best interest at heart, he's not your son, said Sirius quietly. He's as good as, said Miss Weasley fiercely. Who else has he got? He's got me. He's got me, yes, said Miss Weasley, her lip curling. The thing is, it's it's been well rather difficult for you to look after him while you have been locked up in Azkaban, hasn't it? Sirius started to rise from his chair. Molly, you are not the only person at this table who cares about Harry, said Lupin softly. Said Lupin softly. Sirius, sit down. Miss Weasley's lower lip was trembling. Sirius sank slowly back into its chair, his face white. I think Harry ought to be allowed a say in this, Lupin continued. He's old enough to decide for himself. I want to know what's been going on, Harry said at once. He did not look at Miss Weasley. He had been touched by what she had said about his being as good as a son, but he was also impatient at a Molly cuddling. Sirius was right. He was not a child. Very well, said Miss Weasley, her voice crackling. Gingy, Ron, Hermione, Fred, George, I want you out of this kitchen now. There was an instant uproar. We are of age, Fred and George bellowed together. If it was allowed, why can't I? Shouted Ron. Mom, I want to, wailed Gingy. No, shouted Miss Weasley, standing up, her eyes overbright. I absolutely forbid. Molly, you can't stop Fred and George, said Mr. Weasley wearily. They are of age. They are still at school, but they are legally adults now, said Mr. Weasley. In the same tired voice, Miss Weasley was now scarlet in the face. Oh. All right then. Fred and George can stay but one. Harry will tell me, and Hermione. Everything you say anyway. So one hardly won't you? He added uncertainly, meeting Harry's eyes. For a split second, Harry considered telling Ron that he wouldn't tell him a single word that he could a single word that he could try a taste of being kept in the dark and see how he liked it. But the nasty impulse vanished as they looked at each other. Of course I will, Harry said. Ron and Hermione beamed. Fine, shouted Miss Weasley. Fine. Gingy, bed. Gingy did not go quietly. They could hear her raging and storming. Mother, all the way up the stairs, and when she reached the hall, Miss Black's ear-splitting shrieks were added to the din. Lupin hurried off to the portrait to restore calm. It was only after he had returned, closing the kitchen door behind him and taking his seat at the table again, that Sirius spoke. Okay, Harry, what do you want to know? Harry took a deep breath and asked the question. And asked a question that happened. That happened. Obsessing him for a month was Baltimore. What's he doing? I have been trying to watch the Mugger News, he said, ignoring the renewed shudders and winces at the name. And there hasn't been anything that looks like him yet. No funny deaths or anything. That's because there haven't been any suspicious deaths yet, said Sirius. Not as far as we know anyway. And we know quite a lot. More than he thinks we do anyway, Sir Lupin. How come he stopped killing people? Harry asked. He knew that Baltimore had murdered more than once in the last year alone, because he doesn't want to draw attention to himself at the moment. So Sirius, it would be dangerous for him. His comeback didn't come off quite the way he wanted it to. You see, he messed it up. Or rather, you messed it up for Answer Lupin with a satisfied smile. How? Harry asked perplexity. You weren't supposed to survive, the Sirius. Nobody apart from his Death Eaters was supposed to know he'd come back. But you survived to bear witness. And the very last person he wanted alerted to his return. The moment he got back was Dumbledore's Lupin. And you made sure Dumbledore knew at once. How has that helped? Harry asked. Are you kidding? Said Bill incredibly. Dumbledore was the only one you know who was ever scared of. Thanks to you, Dumbledore was able to recall the Order of the Phoenix about an hour after Baltimore returned, said Sirius. So what's the Order been doing? Said Harry, looking around at them all, working as hard as we can to make sure Baltimore can't carry out his plans, said Sirius. How do you know what his plans are? Harry asked quickly. Dumbledore's got a shrewd idea, Sir Lupin, and Dumbledore's shrewd ideas normally turn out to be accurate. So what does Dumbledore reckon he's planning? Well, firstly, he wants to build up his army against Sirius. In the old days, he had huge numbers at his command, witches and wizards. He bullied or bewitched into following him. His faithful Death Eaters, a great variety of dark creatures. You heard him, planning to recruit the giants well. They will be just one group he's after. He's certainly not going to try and take on the Ministry of Magic with only a dozen with only a dozen Death Eaters. So you are trying to stop him. So you are trying to stop him getting more followers? We are doing our best, Sir Lupin. How? Well, the main thing is to try and convince as many people as possible that you know who really has returned to put them on the guard's bill. It's proving tricky though. Why? Because of the ministry's attitudes at times. You saw Cornelius Fudge after you know who came back, Harry. Well, he hasn't shifted his position at all. He's absolutely refusing to believe it's happened. It's happened. But why is it Harry desperately? Why is he being so stupid? If Dumbledore, well, you put your finger on the problem, said Mr. Weasley with a weary smile. Dumbledore Fudge is frightened of him. You see, said Tonks sadly. Frightened of Dumbledore, said Harry inquisitively. Frightened of what he's up to, said Mr. Weasley. You see, Fudge thinks. Fudge thinks Dumbledore's plotting to overthrow him. He thinks Dumbledore wants to be Minister of Magic. But Dumbledore doesn't want. Of course he doesn't, said Mr. Weasley. He's never wanted the minister's job, even though a lot of people wanted him to take it when MILLICENT retired, but Budge came to power instead. But he's never quite forgotten how much popular support Dumbledore had, even though Dumbledore never applied for the job. Deep down, Fudge knows Dumbledore knows much cleverer than he is, a much more powerful wizard, and in the early days of his ministry, he was forever asking Dumbledore for help and advice, said Lupin. But it seems that he's become fond of power now and much more confident. He loves being Minister of Magic, and he's managed to convince himself that he's the clever one, and Dumbledore simply stirring up trouble for the sake of it. For the sake of it. How can he think that? Said Harry angrily. How can he think Dumbledore would just make it all that I make it all up because accepting that Voldemort's back would mean trouble, like the ministry hasn't had to cope with for nearly 14 years, said Sirius bitterly. Fudge can't. Fudge just can't bring himself to face it. It's so much more comfortable to convince himself Dumbledore's trying to destabilize him. You see the problem, Sir Lupin? Why are the Ministry and Sirius? There was nothing to fear from Voldemort. It's hard to convince people he's back, especially as they really don't want to believe it in the first place. The ministries leaning heavily on the daily profit, not to report any of what they're calling Dumbledore's RUMORMONGERING. So most of the wizarding community or completely unaware of anything's happening, and that makes them easy targets for the Death Eaters if they are using the IMPERIUS curse. But you are telling people, aren't you? Said Harry, looking around at Mr. Weasley. Sirius, Bill, MUNDD, Lupin, at times. You are letting people know he's back. They all smiled humorously. Well, well, as everyone thinks I'm a mad mass murderer, and the ministries put a 10,000-gallon price on my head. I can hardly stroll up this. I can hardly stroll up this. I can hardly stroll up the street and start handing out leaflets. Can I? Said Sirius restlessly. And I'm not a very popular dinner guest with most of the community, said Lupin. It's an occupational hazard of being a werewolf. Tonks and Arthur would lose their jobs at the ministry if they started shooting the mouse off, said Sirius. And it's very important for us to have spies inside the ministry because you can bet Baltimore will have them. We have managed to convince a couple of people, though, said Mr. Weasley. Tonks here for one. She's too young to have been in the Order of the Phoenix last time, and having Aurora's on our side is a huge advantage. KINGSLEY. Shacklebolt been a real asset too. He's in charge of the hunt for Sirius, so he's been feeding the ministry information that Sirius is in Tibet. But if none of you's putting the news out, the Baltimore's back, Harry began. Who said none of us was putting the news out, said Sirius. Why do you think Dumbledore's in such trouble? What do you mean? Harry asked. They are trying to discredit him, Sir Lupin. Didn't you see the Daily Prophet last week? They reported that he been voted out of the chairmanship of the International Confederation of Wizards because he's getting old and losing his grip. But it's not true. He was voted out by Ministry Wizards after he made a speech announcing Baltimore's return. They demoted him from chief warlock on the wizard on the WIZENGAMMOT. That's the Wizard High Court, and they are talking about taking away his Order of Merlin, First Class 2. First Class 2. But Dumbledore says he doesn't care what they do as long as they don't take him off the chocolate frog cards, said Bear, grinning. It's no laughing matter, said Mr. Weasley shortly. If he carries on defining the ministry like this, he could end up in Azkaban, and the last thing we want is Dumbledore locked up. Why are you? No who? Why are you? No who? No who? No. Why are you? Why are you? No who? Knows. Dumbledore's out there and wise to what he's up to. He's going to go cautiously for a while. If Dumbledore's out of the way, well, you know who. We'll have a clear field. But if Baltimore's trying to recruit more Death Eaters, it's bound to get out that he's come back, isn't it? Asked Harry desperately. Baltimore doesn't march up to people's houses and bang on their front doors, Harry says serious. He tricks, jinxes, and blackmails them. He's well practiced at operating in secrecy. In any case, gathering followers is only one thing he's interested in. He's got other plans too. Plans he can put into operation very quietly indeed, and he's concentrating on them at the moment. What's he after? Apart from followers, Harry asked swiftly. He thought he saw Sirius and Lupin exchange the most fleeting of looks before Sirius said, "Stop! He can only get by stealth." When Harry continued to look closer, Sirius says, "Like a weapon, something he didn't have last time when he was powerful before. Yes." Like what kind of weapons?" said Harry. "Something worse than the AVADKEDAVRA. That's enough." Miss Weasley spoke from the shadows beside the door. Harry had not noticed her return from taking Gingy upstairs. Her arms were crossed and she looked furious. I want you in bed now, all of you, she added, looking around at Fred, George, Ron, and Hermione. You can't process, Fred began. Watch me, snarled Miss Weasley, just trembling slightly as she looked at Sirius. You're given Harry plenty of information. Any more, and you might just as well induct him into the order straight away. Why not? Said Harry quietly. I want to join. I want to fight. No, it was not. It was not me. It was not. It was not. It was not Miss Weasley who spoke this time, but Lupin. But Lupin. The order is comprised only of overage wizards, he said. Wizards who have left school, he added, as Fred and George opened their mouths. There are dangers involved, of which you can have no idea. Any of you. I think Molly's right, Sirius. We have said enough. Sirius half shrugged, but did not argue. Miss Weasley beckoned impulsively to her sons and Hermione. One by one, they stood up, and Harry, recognizing defeat, followed suit. That's the end of chapter 5. Okay, bye-bye.